Here is an example of one of the direct observation methods, ABC charting. Here we observe and document what happens prior to the behavior, the antecedent, describe the behavior, and indicate what happens after the behavior of concern. That would be the consequence. Note on the slide that the antecedent can be divided into two areas, the setting event and the stimulus event. The setting event would include contextual issues like illness, medication, problems on the bus before school, home problems, and so on. The stimulus event is analogous to a trigger. It is the event that happens immediately prior to the behavior.
For example, on most Mondays and many Thursdays, little Jenny bites other students in her preschool setting. Observation has revealed she bites when another student takes the toy she wants. When Jenny bites, the other student releases the toy and Jenny picks it back up. The challenging behavior is, of course, biting. Observers will want to describe the bite operationally so that their data will be consistent when they collect it. The antecedent in this case is twofold. The context or setting event is Mondays and Thursdays, the days after Jenny has been home from school for at least one day. The stimulus or trigger event is that someone takes the toys she wanted. The maintaining consequence is that the other student lets go of the toy and Jenny gets it back. Wow, her challenging behavior is working for her. A summary statement could be written like this. On days after Jenny has been away from school, and when another student takes her toy, Jenny bites to get the toy back. Sometimes the ABC data gives us all we need to develop a good behavior support plan. Sometimes, however, especially when there are several behaviors of concern, taking data helps us narrow our focus and plan on further, more specific collection of information. Once we've determined the function of a behavior and have developed a summary statement, we then develop a competing statement. Our competing statement includes the alternate appropriate behavior that meets the same function. Here's a hint. The maintaining consequence must remain the same. For example, think back to our ABC chart where we discussed Jenny. We developed a summary statement that read like this. On Mondays and Thursdays, after Jenny has been away from school for at least a day, and another student takes her toy, Jenny bites in order to get the toy back. A competing statement might read something like this. When another student takes Jenny's toy, she will say, "Give back," and get the toy back. Now we know you're thinking, yeah, right, like that's really going to happen. Consider this. We might have to practice the new behavior of saying, "Give back," with staff first. And then we might have to train a willing child or two to cooperate with this new behavior. Teachers and paras may have to help other children learn that when they grab a toy from Jenny, they have to give it back when she acts nice. We might want to plan to reinforce the other children for their help with Jenny.
In addition to developing appropriate alternatives to problem behavior, it is important to look at the complete picture. Using information from your ABC charting, observation, interview, and other data, consider the following. What can you do proactively? Can you change the setting events or triggers to the behavior? For example, if Josh displays challenging behavior every time he is transitioning from one activity to another, You might teach him to use a visual schedule so he could predict those changes. If Susie is intolerant of close contact with other wiggly little children in circle time, could she sit somewhere else? Anytime you can change something prior to the behavioral event that prevents the behavior from occurring, you're way ahead of the game. Carefully consider what happens after a behavior occurs. Consequences typically maintain a behavior. Is the child being inadvertently reinforced? If your little Carrie is presenting challenging behavior to avoid an activity and you place her in timeout, you have just reinforced her behavior and it's very likely to continue. Are you providing plenty of reinforcement for the alternate behavior as well? So many times what we think is a challenging behavior is really a skills issue. Look carefully at your child's skill repertoire. Does he really have the skills necessary to do what is being asked? It is our job to carefully assess skills and determine what needs to be taught. Remember, children with autism do not often learn in a linear fashion and may have unexpected strengths and weaknesses. Don't make assumptions. Finally, it's important to realize that behavior is communication. What is the child trying to tell us with his challenging behavior? It is our job to provide and teach an appropriate alternative to that challenging behavior. Let's look at the scenario on the slide and develop a summary statement. Stevie is a cute little guy, but every time an adult calls to him to come in from recess or to leave a play activity, he runs away. He laughs and looks back at the person who's chasing him and trying to get him to comply. Staff members continue to chase him and then will take his hand and bring him back to the task at hand. Imagine you have taken data on the behavior and have determined the function of the behavior is to obtain attention. The statement might sound something like this. When Stevie is asked to terminate a preferred activity, he laughs and runs away to obtain attention from an adult. Your team will want to brainstorm ideas for an alternate appropriate behavior. This behavior might already be in Stevie's skill repertoire, or it might be necessary to teach him a new skill. Now you've found a behavior you think might be a good alternative and have created a competing statement. When Stevie is asked to terminate a preferred activity, he will ask one of the adults in the classroom to walk with him to the next activity in order to obtain attention. Our most important task is to identify the function of the behavior and determine an alternative. This process demonstrates functional equivalence and is foundational. That doesn't mean we can't also apply strategies to support appropriate behavior. These strategies typically take the form of an antecedent strategy, such as giving Stevie a 1-minute warning before he has to leave a preferred activity, using a visual schedule to help with transitions, or maybe reading a social story about coming in from recess. We will also probably want to look at a consequence strategy. It would be nice if we could put the running away behavior on extinction, just ignore it. Because this probably isn't safe, we won't choose it. It could be that we could engineer barriers keeping Stevie from unsafe areas. If not, we might want to apply reinforcement for compliance. We'll talk about reinforcement strategies on day 4.
In this activity, your job is to imagine that you've taken the necessary data to develop a hypothesis concerning the function of Judy's behavior. Pause the slides now and go to Resource 2. You'll need to print out that form. Here, you have the formula for writing summary and competing statements. Fill in the blanks as appropriate for this scenario. When you're finished, go to the next slide and see our best guess for Judy's summary statement and competing statement. Okay, this is our best guess for Judy. Notice that everything remains the same except the challenging behavior and the replacement behavior. The replacement behavior replaces the challenging behavior, but it enables the child to get the same maintaining consequence. We hope that your best guess was similar to ours. Now, go on to the next scenario. In using the form for Sarah in Resource 3, try this again.
Write a summary statement and a competing statement for Sarah on Resource 3. Then move ahead to see our best guess for the summary statement and competing statement for Sarah. Here is our best guess for Sarah. Don't forget that the child will probably not adopt the replacement behavior immediately and or without instruction. And we will need to manipulate some of the antecedents in order to make the replacement behavior more likely. Sarah may very well need lots of non-contingent reinforcement.
The Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary Education has listed under their Effective Practices section a list of links to websites specific to functional behavior assessment. You're encouraged to visit these links. We think they'll give you some help.
You may want or need to develop forms specific to your data needs. However, there are many forms available on the web. The slide shows a few links, and a search will probably provide you with quite a few more.